Before we continue with the video, well, not continue, but before we started, I like to say I'm sorry that I didn't do this on a Sunday. Let's just say Nickelodeon, mainly Viacom, have this show on a tight copyright leash for some reason. So I'm gonna have to try to do stills on this here. Hopefully sooner or later I can go back to clips of like movies and stuff, if lucky. So I do apologize for that, but I always promise a video for any of you guys at this time, so I'm gonna try to do this one. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. What do I love most of all? SpongeBob, Danny Phantom, The Very Odd Parents. Quite a lot of Nickelodeon. I'm a huge Nickelodeon person, and this is before I even looked at Cartoon Network shows. But there was Nickelodeon's one show that, in my opinion, had a controversy that literally just did not go away and caused its cancellation in 2007. And that was Catscratch. It centers around three cats: Gordon, Waffle, and Mr. Blake, who had a huge fortune by the old Mrs. Crumdilly, so the house, the fortune, yes, even their badass car is all theirs, and they get to do whatever the heck they want. Now they each have pretty good personalities, Waffle being not only the dumb, but sometimes pretty smart cat. You also got Mr. Blake, the very eccentric, but also very mean, dictator-like aspect of him. And Gordon, a very brave person trying to find his purpose in life. They're both very nice characters. Not only is their adventures and the action there very, very fun in this show, but its comedy is great and it's very, very funny. Its animation, while it's hard to tell with, older clips on certain sites, it still is a really good animated show. And I just wish that one controversy with the creator, just didn't happen. But it happened. What are you going to do? But the episode we want to talk about is actually a sort of a Halloween episode. And it's called Zombie Party A Go-Go. And it centers around Mr. Blake getting a very special party ready, let's say, for the cream of society, which is basically the rich of the rich, the spoiled of the spoiled, the assholes of the assholes. That's literally what I assume the cream of society. Because I'm not part of it, and I don't care for them. So, he wants everything to be perfect. Waffle attempts to help. Unfortunately, after his last incident from the last party, Mr. Blake prefers him to stand into a nice corner. Of course, Gordon cheers up Waffle at the end, and actually tells him he can make some dip. Very simple dip, and of course, a very simple way of getting the book, which is it's a blue cookbook in a green room, with the page being page 12. It's very simple that even I can do it, that even I can find out. Of course, Waffle makes the mistake, again, with the wrong colored room and the wrong colored book. It brings in the Scottish Book of the Dead. Of course, he creates a dip that resurrects the dead in a cemetery near their house. And they go on a rampage, ruining Mr. Blake's party. And Waffle, in the very end, uses his laser light show from the last party he did to save his brothers and the house. It was a very simple episode, but I love the concept, and maybe that's just because, again, I'm a huge zombie nerd, and that's what makes it pretty special. But the special thing is Waffle saying this weird incantation about a certain person known as Dark Hagelgrab. Now, I'm not going to show you this clip due to copyright reasons, but he does it when he actually stirs in the ingredients, and I think it's very interesting because I have no idea who it is. Now, I can make assumptions, but let's actually go down the name here. Haggle is pretty much a simple word for hag. Hag meaning a very unattractive, ugly woman. And if we're talking one that created a Book of the Dead, nonetheless, chance of the following there, because she dwells in the nether pits, that means that this Hagelgrab is a witch. And we're kind of like, let's just say, I tried my best to figure out what she's based on, but also for the fact, is she technically real? Is there a Scottish Book of the Dead? The only time you actually hear a Scottish Book of the Dead is like a novel. There is no actual Scottish Book of the Dead. There is a very famous Scottish witch, which I do not know the name of, but her whole background is surrounded in mystery because none of the stuff was archived very well. But the one thing I do know about Scottish witches that I heard is that 84% of the people that were tried and executed were women in Scottish lore. So that's a very interesting thing to know. And it had the highest execution rate as well. So trials and executions, they went through a simple little, they went through simple forms to like have a legally apologize for the condemnation and the executions of certain people who were tried as witches. So it's a very interesting look. I just don't have the time for it. And if we're talking about a witch that's based off of something like Dark Hagelgrab, I couldn't find it. The one thing I do know is that Hagelgrab is a witch, and she created this Scottish Book of the Dead, either Mrs. Crumdley or Gordon in any time period whatsoever, grabbed this book, probably off a store shelf or something, and kept it in a certain library area, which is probably the green room. Blue room. It was a blue room. I actually, it's hard for me to remember. You see how long it's been since I've seen this episode? But that's what my take is. It's a witch. She made the book, and the book resurrects the dead. And that's pretty much it. Does it hurt the episode? Not really. Does it hurt the episode with the controversy? I'll have to get back to you on that. I need to do a little bit more research on that. But one thing is for sure, I still love this show. And just like Invader Zim, I just wish it had its little revival, which Invader Zim did with Enter the Florpus. But when you're talking about like revivals like with Catscratch, I would be remiss if there was ever a chance that someone in the original group that's not the creator could at least make a movie that revived the series and probably put it to a pretty decent end. Who knows? But one thing's for sure, witches are very scary people, but you know what's also scary? The undead. So I'll see you tomorrow, and I actually got a very neat episode for you guys. And it's not horror. It's about one yellow sponge against one fat bass. I'll see you guys Sunday for Mystery Scenes Month.
We need a way out of here! Might I suggest the air ducts?